This easy painting tutorial will show you how to use liquid watercolors, perfect for backgrounds for drawing or printmaking. If you love learning about art, support this public school art teacher and subscribe so you never miss an art tutorial. I'm using the Blick brand liquid watercolor, and I'm also going to use a plastic palette. Be careful when pouring your paint. The beauty of liquid watercolor is the colors are very vibrant, but they will stain your fingers and your clothing. I'm also using a spray bottle for water. And start by spraying your paper. I like to start just in a corner at first, and then I'm gonna take any color and dab into the water that I sprayed. It's not spreading out all that much, so I'm gonna go back to my water bottle and spray. You can also use a big fluffy watercolor brush and add water that way. So you can see it's spreading out a light layer, and then I can dab and layer on top of that to create a really beautiful kind of tie-dye textured look. You can use whatever colors you would like, but liquid watercolors really blend and flow. You can use them in a more tight, controlled way, but I love to use this as backgrounds and just kind of have these free-flowing colors that blend together. So I'm going to try and use a pretty limited palette, colors that when they blend and mix, they look good together and don't brown each other out. So now I'm dabbing in some blue, and you can see it's making friends with the red. And what I love about this is just how you can layer, you can spray more water, you can dab with your paintbrush, you can remove too much water or paint with a paper towel. And it creates just a beautiful background, or this can just be a kind of meditative practice where you just fill page after page of random color with a more abstract vibe. I'm going to continue layering my colors here. Let's see what happens with the purple flowing into the blue. And it's really fun too, because once you're done, it takes time to dry, and then you don't really know what the colors are going to look like because the water, depending on how much you use, I use too much there, will blend and flow and kind of dry in unexpected ways. So this could be really fun just to let loose and see what happens, and it requires no skill at all. I tell my students if the technique isn't working, that probably means you need more water, because if the color is not traveling, you need a vehicle for the water to travel with, and water is the vehicle here with watercolor. Make sure that you are using a watercolor paper for this technique. There's lots to choose from, but a nice thick watercolor paper, because you will be layering, as you can see, layers of paint and lots of water. I have done this on like a cheaper sketch page when I wanted my students to make sketchbook covers, and I had almost 200 students. So it works. Just know that your paper will crinkle, and also the colors won't be as vibrant. So for the best results, use a nicer watercolor paper. Canson is a really good affordable brand. Fabriano is a little bit more expensive. And just make sure it's meant to be used with watercolor. I'm just doing some finishing touches here, adding a little bit more blue and red to get a vibrant edge. Layering is a really great way to achieve a little bit more opacity in your color, especially with liquid watercolor, which you can thin out so much. When it's finished, let it dry completely. And some things I love to do with my students is use these as backgrounds for figure drawing. Use this also for contour drawing, which is great with mixed media. But my favorite is to use these for backgrounds for printmaking. So this is just an excellent background for linoleum print. So you can see the block printing ink. The black looks so good with these backgrounds. I'm removing tape. I like to put tape on the edges just so my paper doesn't move around, and it makes a really nice clean white edge. Thank you so much for sticking around and making art with me, and if you're interested in more painting tutorials, check these out. Find me on Instagram at thatartteacher_Machado to see what my students are up to in my classroom, and my website thatartteacher.com has completely free resources for artists at home and also for teachers.